Welcome to the 10th anniversary of the Great American Rivalry Series, presented by iHigh Sports, the leader in youth sports broadcasting nationwide. High school football at its best. The Great American Rivalry is brought to you by the United States Marines, the few, the proud. By iHelp Student Loans, investing in the education of America. By Hibbett Sports, game-tested, athlete-approved. And by iHigh Sports.
On a crisp fall night, across sweat-stained fields of green, for over a century, these battles for bragging rights have raged across the nation. Tradition, camaraderie, and a desire for victory like no other create a passion among these gladiators of the gridiron, where outcomes become not just victories, but legend. These games are the Great American Rivalry Series. On a cold December day in 1905, New Jersey and Pennsylvania clashed in what has become one of the oldest cross-border conflicts in the nation. Now playing on Thanksgiving Day, the Peaburg-Easton matchup brings together families, fans, and alums alike.
The more this game continues on and on, as you look around, you can see all the parents, grandparents, and the grandkids now coming around.
And it's all about the kids on the field, also the cheerleaders, the band, and all the people that come back at Thanksgiving time to be a part of this.
We got here at 6 a.m. this morning, continued from last night, setting up, getting everything ready to go. Been coming here 35 years since I was a kid growing up. My dad taught here in school, so.
A guy just came to me and said this is going to be his 61st straight game. He's never missed a game in 61 years, so I think that's pretty awesome.
It's not just a game for the kids today, it's a game for the grandparents and everyone else who has played in it.
Some people make their name for the rest of their life in this game, so it's kind of neat what goes on, for sure.
Books, movies, and even television shows can't begin to portray the tradition represented by this original Friday Night Lights showdown. As the sun sets, the lights shine down on the Odessa-Permian-Midland League clash, adding to the lore that is West Texas football.
There's excitement in the air like there is with Friday Night Football, especially out here in West Texas. And the Odessa-Permian football game, or any Odessa-Permian football game, is phenomenal.
When you're playing against Lee, you have to come out and be ready to knock heads.
Well, this is a big game for us every year.
We've been kind of involved with these two teams since the 80s.
What it means to be a Permian cheerleader is that you get mojo in your life every day, and it's kind of an indescribable thing.
We were willing to face anybody at any time. I think that, this mojo is back in the city.
Here we are once again at the end of an annual classic here in Odessa. But Permian came on strong in the second half and closed the deal on one of the classics in the Great American Rivalry Series.
Family, friends, and alumni from across the country gather to tailgate for the largest regular season rivalry game in the country. With the traditional shillelagh firmly in the hands of the winning team, the more than 35,000 fans exit the stadium, and plans are already underway for next year.
It's been going on since the 50s, and both schools have great traditions in football. The two school communities, as you can see by the crowd, they mark this game on their calendars and they come out here. And it's just a great opportunity for all of us to get together. And
they got to remember that even though it is a huge rivalry and there's going to be a lot of people here, it's still football.
Just beyond the beaches and palm trees, the bright lights shine down on a carpet of green. And if you stop to listen, you'll hear the sounds of a pounding drum line, welcoming the soldiers of the Soul Bowl to another battle in Broward. A performance of historical proportions is sure to ensue.
It's always this bigger game. Yeah, you can expect this stadium to be full in about an hour.
This is a big game. We have fun. The kids have fun. This is the biggest game, the Soul Bowl. It has been like that ever since I was a little girl. I mean, my uncle played for Ely. My brother played for Ely. So this is like a family event.
Dating back to the 19th century, Baltimore Poly versus Baltimore City has been a unifying and tradition-laden test for supremacy. With more foreshadowing than a Hollywood script, this rivalry, played in Raven Stadium, often produces players that will play there again someday.
I'm a 1977 graduate of Baltimore Polytechnic Institute. My experience in high school at Poly prepared me for the rest of my life. Don't leave anything on the field. When you walk away from this ball game, you say to yourself, I gave it all I had.
It was kind of like the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys, but it was a local event and it was big time in this area. And just to be able to play on Thanksgiving, we wanted to feature games that were shown throughout the city. It always meant a little more, and the fact that we played City College made it that much more important.
This is a character builder for the players on these teams. They may not know it right now, but here you learn how to win. You learn how to lose. You learn how to conduct yourself with character and dignity. It's a season maker for the team. We look forward to it for the whole year. And like I said, you remember it for your whole life.
The first time these two schools met, there were no helmets, no pads, just football. With the NFL Football Hall of Fame just footsteps away, the tradition represented by the annual clash between Massillon and McKinley has few rivals in the state of Ohio, as these classic warriors fight for the right to own the day.
I remember as a small kid growing up, my main ambition was to play for the Massillon Tigers, and it really had an impact just watching those guys ahead of me lay the foundation for our great tradition. Still a great series.
As a fan of either of these two teams, you have a choice to make. You can wait to see one of them compete in the state championship game, or you can go to one of the best rivalries in the nation and see them both every year. This is the Backyard Bowl between Jenks and Union.
Well, we're 11 miles apart. We're the second and third largest schools in the state of Oklahoma.
It's not hard to, play at your best when, 35,000 people are watching this screen. If it was a 30-point game right now, it wouldn't be over. I've seen so many wild things, and that's probably why it's a great rivalry, is that it's never over until the last snap.
Combining for more than 24 state championships, the matchup between Burns and Gaffney pits two of South Carolina's biggest powerhouse programs on a playing field that is likely to give fans a preview of some of the state's best talent, surrounded by rich tradition and just good football.
We've been rivals, for years now, and you hate Gaffney. I mean, it just comes with it. Whenever you're in the Burns family, it just comes along with it. And whenever you play the game, they aren't fans of you either. So it just puts everything else into the game.
This game is it's outstanding. You gotta come here and watch it. I mean, it's prime time.
There's the best, and then there's the rest. And out west, when Mission Viejo and De La Salle line up, fans are assured of some of the best high school football around. But when they meet on a Friday night, it's all about that game and winning.
Well, I know Coach has a great program, and he likes to play against the greatest programs. And De La Salle is a class act from Northern California. We play the tough teams down here, and I know he wanted to play some of the tougher teams throughout the great state of California, and we got one in De La Salle.
We come out, we play our hardest, and we're always proud to play for our school, for our community, and especially for our coaches.
In 1893, the first fans of the old rivalry, as it is known, tied up their horses outside rows of wooden bleachers to watch the boys from Male and Manual. This battle for the barrel predates electricity in Kentucky and epitomizes all the things envisioned as the originating game of the Great American Rivalry Series a decade ago.
The crowds are the biggest, the passions are the greatest. That's where you ought to be.
everybody came to this game. Whether you are a male or a Manual fan, everybody came out to this game. It was played at the fairgrounds, which is really equivalent to this arena right here today, and it was great.
It's just a terrific rivalry. The students really excited about it.
And if you walk our halls, you'll see down our Mel Manual Hall all the past history of this game. We take pride that we've been playing since 1893. And, our goal is to make sure that this game remains the sacred thing it is.
Well, it means everything. If you can't get excited about Male Manual Week, there's something wrong with you. We just have activities all week long for Male Manual Week, and we're excited to be out here at Papa John's Stadium playing the game. We got a great game today, and it's just exciting for the kids.
I grew up with the rivalry. My dad is a Manual person. He went to the high school in the 1920s. I went to Manual, followed my dad, and my dad started bringing me to the games in 1956. My dad is in the Hall of Fame at Manual. He went to 72 consecutive Male Manual football games.
The Male Manual rivalry is such a great rivalry. It goes back so far, and I am just so proud to be a part of it.
But when it comes time to put the helmets on Friday nights, we hate each other for about 48 minutes.
These things right here, they don't give them away. They don't give them away. We thank you for what you're doing for our country.
One thing remains unchanged: the traditions as the greatest American rivalries.
Welcome to the 10th anniversary of the Great American Rivalry Series, presented by iHigh Sports, the leader in youth sports broadcasting nationwide. High school football at its best. The Great American Rivalry is brought to you by the United States Marines, the few, the proud. By iHelp Student Loans, investing in the education of America. By Hibbett Sports, game-tested, athlete-approved. And by iHigh Sports.
Minutes till kick.
National anthem. Happy Thanksgiving and welcome to maybe not the frozen tundra, but it is certainly the chilly tundra. Robert Williamson here in Philadelphia, in Pennsylvania, as Merv Jones gathers with me, and we get ready for a meeting between two teams that decide who takes home a wooden horse.
That's correct. It's the Central Northeast rivalry, one of the oldest in the country, started in 1890s.
So this is a matchup that has a lot of pride, and it's also the oldest matchup in the country, 1892, the first time these two teams met.
Yeah, I wasn't around then, but I did play in this series 30 years ago around today.
Well, the national anthem being played right behind us, so we want to pay respect to our country and pause for the playing of the national anthem. Here you go.
who move toward the sounds of chaos. Forged in the crucible of training, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are the few, the proud, the Marines.
There's no need to worry about how you're going to pay for college anymore. The iHelp Loan Program enables students to fill their needs when financing their education. If you need to borrow money for college, as most Americans do, SLFC and the iHelp Loan Program may be your best option. The loan features the most competitive rate available and is offered through your local ICBA bank with the help of SLFC, the student loan company thousands have trusted to help them pay for college. Go to slfc.com and explore all your options now.
On the field or in the bleachers, get your game day gear from Hibbett Sports.
The Great American Rivalry Series. 48 classic matchups nationwide. The biggest moments under the brightest lights. Hardcore great American football the way it was meant to be. In the stands and on the fields. Be a part of the action when the greatest show in high school sports comes to a town near you. The Great American Rivalry Series, presented by the United States Marines from iHigh. Who's your rival?
There are a few who move toward the sounds of chaos, ready to respond at a moment's notice. And when the time comes, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice,
Marine Corps recruiter caught my eye, and I decided to join the Marine Corps after that.
Now their tagline is "The few, the proud." What does it take in a battle situation for you to go in there? Like, we're about to watch two teams battle. What are the feelings when you go into battle?
It's mixed emotions. You got to be mentally tough. Also, the training, you have to fall back on your training and the basics that you're taught, and you'll be successful.
Okay. And what are some of the ingredients that you think would make a good Marine?
You got, again, the way how you're brought up by your parents. You got to be physically tough also, and just do it because you want to do it, basically.
Okay, now today I think the team that's mentally tough is going to be the team that wins. Mental toughness when it comes to Marines, what is that about?
Basically, it goes back into boot camp. You have a drill instructor. He's always in your face, yelling at you, telling you what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And you're not used to that type of stuff. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to break you down and then build you back up in order to be a successful Marine.
Okay, and you participated in the coin toss. What was that like?
It was awesome.
And did you play sports?
No, sir.
Really?
No.
Okay, one would think someone as fit as yourself would have at least played some type of sport. What did you do when you were in high school?
Back in high school, I used to watch sports basically. I grew up in Barbados. One of the things that we played a lot was cricket. I was good at that, but that's the only sport I played.
Wow, there's no detectable accent. I would never know that you were from Barbados. Is there anything that you'd like to say to family and friends out there on this Thanksgiving?
Enjoy yourself and have a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, and don't eat too much, I guess?
All right, thank you very much, Merv Jones, as he talks with one of the gentlemen who had the distinct honor just moments ago to participate in the coin toss to get this one underway officially, the matchup that's been around since 1892. It's a matchup between Northeast and Central. The Vikings taking on the Lancers. The opening kickoff right after this.
The Great American Rivalry Series. 48 classic matchups nationwide. The biggest moments under the brightest lights. Hardcore great American football the way it was meant to be. In the stands and on the fields. Be a part of the action when the greatest show in high school sports comes to a town near you. The Great American Rivalry Series. Presented by the United States Marines. From I-High. Who's your rival?
There are a few who move toward the sounds of chaos, ready to respond at a moment's notice. And when the time comes, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are forged in the crucible of training. They are the few, the proud, the Marines.
On the field or in the bleachers, get your game day gear from Hibbett Sports.
Welcome back. We are in Philadelphia getting ready for the matchup between Northeastern and Central. Robert Williamson, Merv Jones. Merv, you've had a workout down on the sidelines, braving the chili. You're back up here in the box. What kind of matchup do we look for?
Well, we look for a matchup where the team that runs the ball the best and controls the possession is going to be the team that wins. The wind is going to play a factor in today's game. It's really windy down there.
You know, that's one thing that we have not mentioned. We talked about how chilly it is, but really temperature-wise not that bad, about 34 degrees. But what makes it rather unbearable is that wind that's kicking up sometimes 10, 15, occasionally 20 and 25 miles an hour. We were watching in pregame how difficult it was putting it through the uprights on one end of the stadium.
Yeah, I was watching, and Northeast made a great decision to defer to the second half and play with the wind at their back.
Well, it is Central that will receive the football to begin this one. And as you can already see, if you're looking down to the tee, that there is problems keeping that ball on tee because of that very brisk wind.
Yeah, the guy's going to have to hold it in order for them to kick it off.
Walt Pegues back deep to receive.
Pegues is dangerous.
Meanwhile, Ralph Highland deep to receive as well. Here's the benefit to a kick now. You probably will boot it further than you typically do as the short kick drops in front of Quinn Burke, and Burke picks it up at the 26.
That was a semi-dangerous play there. If Burke doesn't come up and get that, you know, that's the equivalent of an onside kick, and they can recover it right there.
Gives us an opportunity to look at that starting lineup for the Central Lancers. Lancers coming into this Thanksgiving Day matchup with an opportunity to, regardless of what happened during the course of the regular season, make this a very productive one. Of course, Jeff Copeland leading things off. You've got John Henderson, and we talked about Walt Pegues in the backfield. Mosley, Pawnell, and Fields on that offensive line. Those are the guys that will be doing the blocking for Copeland and company. Handoff given up the middle, and you've got a pickup of 3 on a first down carry as we now officially have this one underway. Taking a look at the defense, by the way, for Northeast. They stack up this way against the offense of the Central Lancer squad. A lot of guys going both ways. You've got Paul Mitchell, Anderson, Smart, and Rowe, as well as that secondary that includes Manley, Coles, Willis, and Anderson, and then, of course, your linebacking core will be Kahugwe and Moses. Another give up the middle and kind of scampering for yardage that looked like it might be a little bigger than it actually was. A nice stop.
Oh, I think that's close to the first down, actually.
There's Manley in on the stop, and you are right, it is very close to a first down, maybe just about the length of the football shy. But I'm thinking the way he picked his way through that offense and defense as well, that he was about to pick up some major yardage. But Manley was the guy who decided, nope, let's stop him right here.
Actually, they did call that a first down. So
just haven't changed the down marker on the far sidelines. And they do so as the handoff is faked, and Copeland not able to get positive yardage, wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage, loses about 3, possibly 4. It will bring up a second down and long.
That just looked like a busted play right there. Copeland did his best to make something out of it, but it just looked like there was a miscommunication between him and the running back.
This game, predominantly a run game, regardless of whether you got the wind. But with the wind a factor, you've got to assume that more than likely, very seldom, especially if you're going into the wind, you go upstairs.
Yeah, I think, they're going to use some trickeration, I think, in the passing game in order for it to be effective at all.
Copeland looking at a second down, 13, and now a timeout is charged to Central. The Lancers want an opportunity to talk, so while they talk, we recognize some of the folks that make our coverage possible, including the United States Marines.
There are a few who move toward the sounds of chaos. Forged in the crucible of training, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are the few, the proud, the Marines.
Second down, 13 as action resumes. Ball game just underway. A couple of minutes into this chilly Thanksgiving Day ball game. A little confusion as to the start time. Originally a 10 a.m. listed start time, and then of course we were told about a half hour prior to that. No, it's not. It's 10:30 as the pitchback goes to Pegues. Pegues finding running room, still on his feet. Great balance, able to cross the 40 and get to the 41-yard line.
That was a nice run. I love the way he finished it. In terms of he didn't go down on first contact.
Pegues, he the key to that running game for the Central squad?
Absolutely. The fullback, Henderson, is actually a former quarterback, so you know he's a smart kid.
Now what are you saying? That all quarterbacks are smart, huh? Third down, 7. Football just across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Pegues again. He has already performed the bulk of the ball carrying for the Central Lancers as he crosses the 45 to the 46.
I don't think they're going to punt here either.
Inside their own territory. Well, you're kicking into a wind, as we mentioned, that is brisk.
Exactly, and I don't think you're going to get much on it, and it's fourth and about a yard.
So already Lancers gambling on a 4th and a yard inside their own territory.
There's a lot you can do here. You can try to draw them off sides, to get the automatic first down.
Well, you've already used one timeout, though, so if you're not going to draw them off and they're going to go for it just straight up the middle.
He's got it.
depending on that strong offensive surge by the line to pick up the first, and they...
Depends on if it's a left foot or a right foot.
Well, must be the left. Got the first. It is 1st and 10.
Definitely a gamble I would have taken, given the wind conditions. You know, you're near midfield, and you got to trust your defense.
One of those games, by the way, is it that you just basically pull out all the stops?
Well, yeah, you're playing for the horse, man. You got to play.
Fake to Pegues. And able to bounce off tackles and bounce it to the outside across the 40. Loses the football. Manley for a moment looked like he had it. John Henderson got inside the 40-yard line and just coughed up the football. The hardest hit he bounced off of, and maybe the softer of the two pops he took, caused the fumble.
Well, it might have been a soft pop, but it was directly onto the football, so that caused the fumble, unfortunately, for the Lancers.
Taking another look at it, and you're right, it was that soft pop on the hand that got in and just popped the ball out. And it brings the starting offense out for Northeast, and that will give us an opportunity to take a look at the guys who will be on the Tundra for the Vikings. And it's led by, on that offensive line, some guys that are first-team all-leaguers. And we'll get to the lineup in just a moment after the first down and 10 carry there. You look at the skill guys, Coles, Manley, Stokes, Curtis, Paul, and Moore in the backfield. Handoff is given, and there's no yardage gained.
I think he lost a yard.
Manley not able to pick up anything. Here are the guys that you're going to rely on, though, to open up those holes for you. There, of course, are the skill guys, but the guys on the offensive line that include a couple of first-team all-leaguers, Charles Anderson and Will Smart, and then you've got Mitchell Stratton and Mushat as well. 2nd down and 11. Football at the 35. Loss of a yard by Manley. Calls a sophomore quarterback, loses the football.
Poor snap.
All the way back to the 25-yard line. The Northeast drive going the wrong way. Let's take a look at the defensive unit for the Lancers of Central.
Looks like the Lancers came ready to play on defense.
And that defensive unit, the linebackers, Siebert and Mosley, and then on the line, Reed, Wilson, and Pownall. Rest of the linebacking core, Henderson, Schwartz, and Womack, and that secondary that may not see a whole lot of action because we may not go upstairs often.
I wouldn't be surprised, though, because Northeast has the wind to their back. So if you're going to throw, this is the time to do it.
And especially on the 3rd down and plenty, you've got to cross the 47 to pick up the first. And you're all the way back.
But they're running it.
And there's absolutely nowhere close to the yardage needed. You're looking at a need of 20, and you pick up 3, 17 shy of what you got to have to pick up the first.
Yeah.
Was that a direct result of the weather, or was it a direct result of just not a lot of confidence in your passing game?
Well, you know, I'm not real familiar with Northeast's passing game, but if they're a run-first team and they got that big offensive line, they were hoping to, you know, they could spring a guy.
Pegues back deep to receive.
High snap. Oh, and he kicked it into his own player.
And that means Central's going to have the football 1st down and 10 to the 27.
And that was a case where the personal protector, the guy who's protecting the punter, when the punter kicked the ball, it hit him in the hip, and it's effectively a blocked punt.
This has had an unusual start to it. First of all, no passing, which is very unusual in the world of football, and then you've got a fumble on a nice run by Henderson, and a punt that winds up in the back of your own player.
Yes. You know, Northeast has won 9 straight Thanksgiving games. So, you know, Central needs some good fortune in order to break that streak.
Well, Central's got a little good fortune there as the punt, the muffed one, puts it down to the 28-yard line where it is 1st down and 10. 5 minutes, 47 seconds, as you see left here in the first stanza. And that wind, it is going to wreak havoc. You can go ahead and count on that. I mentioned the pregame, and we had to kind of cut back on pregame because we certainly wanted to pay respects to the United States with the playing of the national anthem, but we were watching just basically extra point tries in that one end of the end zone, and the wind was holding it up and making that even questionable.
As you were saying that, I was thinking that, if Central gets close here and there's an opportunity to kick a field goal, they may go for it to try to score a touchdown, because points are going to be few and far between in the kicking game.
Well, and two, just the fact that you went for it on 4th down and 1 inside your own territory tells me this is going to be an unusual ball game.
Well, I definitely think they wouldn't have done that if the ball was inside, say, the 40, but because they were close to midfield, that's a gamble worth taking in today's conditions.
By the way, today's battle between Northeast and Central High has been designated as one of 85 featured games of the nationwide 2013 Great American Rivalry Series 10th anniversary, presented by the United States Marine Corps. Game selection for this series based on history and tradition. Great football and awesome fans. We want to say thanks to the Marines for selecting today's contest as part of the 2013 Great American Rivalry Series. By the way, be sure to stick around after the game. It's the MVP trophy handed out, and the trophy to the winning team. So not only the horse, but a Great American Rivalries trophy is Pegues. It's to the 29. That's not back to the line of scrimmage. Loses a yard. Defense has certainly, at least early, made a statement.
Well, defensively you can, especially in cold weather. The hits, you feel the hits a little more. And you could just fire off and try to tackle a guy for loss.
2nd down, 12. Almost looked like a collision between quarterback and running back.
Yeah, I felt like the running back was running a little high, and the quarterback tried to adjust his handoff, but not a well-executed play.
And again, loss of yardage.
Yeah, this is looking like the Northeast drive.
Bonnell dropped back at the 32-yard line, where it is 3rd down and 13. We have had 1 first down thus far in the stanza.
Right.
Otherwise, it's been all defense, and you've had, for the most part, 3rd and long, or in some cases, 4th and short.
Roll-out pass.
The left-hander lobs to Henderson inside the 29, down to about the 27. That was the original line of scrimmage where this drive started.
Yeah, I think they're going to go for it again here. Too close to punt.
Well, and 2, don't forget about that wind.
That's right.
So it is 4th down and 10. If you're thinking about trying to kick one through the uprights here, you're looking at a 45-yarder, which is a tough one for a high schooler on a normal day.
Right?
And you've got a whistle. Do we have our first flag? No, we have a timeout. And that timeout is charged to Northeast. So we take one as well. 4th down 10, 3:45 left in the opening stanza. Scoreless ball game. Great American Rivalry Series in its 10th anniversary, brought to you by the United States Marines.
The Great American Rivalry Series. 48 classic matchups nationwide. The biggest moments under the brightest lights. Hardcore great American football the way it was meant to be. In the stands and on the fields. Be a part of the action when the greatest show in high school sports comes to a town near you. The Great American Rivalry Series. Presented by the United States Marines. From I-High. Who's your rival?
Central going for it, 4th down and 10. Second 4th down conversion attempt by Central. Moments ago, I was questioning the 3rd down and 14 play where you had the pass play for short yardage, but was that 3rd and 14 pass play setting up this 4th and 10?
I think so. I think they went with a rollout. This is a straight drop back.
Coughlin flushed out of the pocket. Pegues had to come back and get it if he made the grab, and now the official steps in and says he did not. But as I was about to say, that even if he makes the grab, it is not enough for the first.
Right, and I think they were trying to get something going to the wide side of the field. You know, the way the ball was set up, it was set up on the far hash mark, so you have all this field to play with. Unfortunately, there was pressure early, so Copeland had to improvise.
A couple of years back, you participated in this series. Tell us, though, I always like to know the aspect of the butterflies and how long it takes to work those out of a ball game. This has got some special ramifications to the two teams. How long does it take?
Right about up until the first hit.
And then they're gone.
And then it's gone. And then it's just a game. You got to play.
Coles with a handoff, and not a lot there for Manley.
That's an interesting play because usually when a team has a tight formation like that, they run outside. And he was trying to run off tackle on that. So it made it easy for the linebackers to just flow to the ball.
Gain of 3 brings up a 2nd down and 7.
As a defender, you try to read the splits of the linemen. If the linemen are tight, they're usually trying to run outside. If they're more spread out, then they're trying to run up the middle. Again, tight and up the middle. It's not a good recipe.
And not a lot of yardage picked up. 3rd down, 5. Manley is going to be the workhorse for a team that predominantly runs the football. You would think with a couple of first-teamers on that offensive line, though, that you've got at least part of the line that creates some sizable holes.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're big and they look like they're physical, but, Central looks like they just have guys that run to the ball.
3rd down and 5, football at the 33. Vikings trying to pick up their first down of the ballgame. Manley is hit behind the line of scrimmage, able to pick up a few, but not enough for the first.
That was actually a really good run by him. Again, not going down on first contact. He turned really nothing into a sizable gain, actually.
I thought he was going to be dropped behind the line of scrimmage.
That's where first contact was.
Guess what? We've got another timeout. Coaches may believe you get 3 per quarter. I think it's 3 per half. Well, we've taken another timeout, so why don't we do the same? 4th down and 1, and apparently the Vikings contemplating going for it with a win at their back and inside 2 to play in stanza 1. Great American Rivalry Series in Philadelphia.
There are a few who move toward the sounds of chaos, ready to respond at a moment's notice. And when the time comes, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are forged in the crucible of...
They got it.
Quarterback keeper and Coles apparently with enough for the first. This is a Northeastern squad that's got a lot of underclassmen, so it's a team that is going to be one to be reckoned with at least 12 months from now.
Yeah, it just seems like they mush rush a lot. Like it's almost like playing rugby. They just pile all together and just surge forward,
And if you're a defender, you've got to try to find the guy with the football.
Yeah, I wonder. Their coach is not Newt Rockney, is it?
1st down and 10, football at the 41. Manley again, and well, excellent description because that's exactly what it looked like there. And Manley able to pick up 3 or 4 on a 1st down carry.
Well, it looks like on the strong side of the ball, they have a tight end and a fullback flex to that side, and they're telegraphing where they're going to run.
Pick up a 4, brings up a 2nd down. Quarter winding down, inside 60 seconds to play here on Thanksgiving Day. Happy holidays to you as the season gets its official start. Manley picking up 3.
I think Pegues was in on that tackle, actually.
Well, you weren't with us, but we were there. It was the start of the 10th anniversary of the Great American Rivalry Series. Began in Alcoa, Tennessee. It was 95 degrees. It was miserably hot. And here we are at the end of a fantastic season, by the way. We have seen some tremendous ball games over the course of this 10th anniversary. We're in North Carolina, Tennessee, New Jersey. Here we are in Pennsylvania, and it's a little cooler today than it was on that day in August as the handoff goes to Manley, and Manley may have powered his way to a first.
I think he did. And that's the end of the quarter.
We have played one. It has gone quickly. Haven't had many passes. I can think of 2 during the course of stanza number 1, and none for the Vikings. So we have wrapped up a period, and it's still a scoreless ball game. But you've got a Viking squad that is inside Lancer territory. 10th anniversary of the Great American Rivalry Series continues right after this.
There are a few who move toward the sounds of chaos, ready to respond at a moment's notice. And when the time comes, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are forged in the crucible of training. They are the few, the proud, the Marines.
We are at the end of 1, beginning number 2, and there are several crews that are here doing the broadcast, and as a result, the timeouts are a little longer than they might typically be. We have some television timeouts as well, but certainly a thrill for the Great American Rivalry Series to be here on a Thanksgiving morning in Pennsylvania, and certainly want to wish the best to those who are watching, and happy holidays to you. The Marines, as I see on the sidelines, with that's Mo Hawker with a cart full of T-shirts that the Marines are about to cast into the crowd. So you got some of the crowd already going, hey, right here. But we certainly say thanks so much to the Marines for their help in making this coverage possible. And here come the T-shirts.
Yeah, there's nothing that bothers the players on the field more than an unscheduled delay. Once you get your body warmed up under these conditions, you want to keep warm and keep playing. You mentioned that 95-degree game. It's 34 today. Ideal conditions would be somewhere in between.
Yeah, a compromise somewhere. And maybe if we could kind of turn the fan down a little bit. That wind has been rather brutal. As a matter of fact, our equipment took a little shot earlier in the setup. So it does occasionally get beyond that predicted 10 and 20-mile-an-hour winds.
Looks to be a problem with the actual game clock that's going on, and maybe they'll be keeping time on the field.
Game clock currently saying zip.
Right, which would make for a really quick second quarter.
So the officials are trying to determine whether play will resume with the clock at zeros, or if we will get the 12 minutes put on the clock and action will resume, and there's the 12 on the clock.
All right.
So it really wasn't a malfunction. It was just one of those human errors that occasionally creep into a football game.
Maybe the guy's finger was cold pushing the button.
First down and 10. Manley. Off tackle for a yard, maybe 2.
That was actually a manly tackle on him on that play. Great defense.
Second down, long football at the 48. Drive that started deep inside their own territory. As a matter of fact, Northeastern, the beneficiary indirectly of the fact that they did not pay for the muff punt.
Right.
Central not able to pick up positive yardage on a 4th down and 10. Got the football back, and now they've driven inside Lancer territory to the 47-yard line. Manley is apparently going to be the workhorse, and there's nothing there.
Well, these teams are normally pretty familiar with each other, and I think they're even more familiar with each other because they played earlier this season a 17-12 Northeast win. So it was definitely a battle before, and we're in for a battle today.
When does the intensity of this rivalry begin? Does it begin on Monday prior to the Thursday in this particular case, or does it start like tomorrow for next year?
Yeah, I think honestly, you know, at Central anyway, you're kind of remembered for the Northeast game, whether or not you won. So if you lost, it stings for a year.
A little misdirection to the 43-yard line.
Or in my case, 30 years.
It will bring up a 4th down, apparently a kicking situation.
That was a nice little misdirection run that they did, a trap. And they got the blocks they wanted, but you know, Central was able to make a stop.
The East back deep to receive, and I say deep to receive. It will be booted into the wind, so it may not go very far. And there is a perfect example of what that wind will do. It's got the trajectory on it until it gets up into the wind, and it drops it down on the 27-yard line, and that's where Central will have it, 1st down and 10.
Well, you know, the way he punted that, he punted it as if he wanted to pooch it out of bounds or something, because he had the nose of the football down and it went end over end. You want to kick a spiral into the
Well, you actually, the mindset looked right. It's just that wind would not comply.
the ball actually hit a wall of wind at some point and just died.
And the irony to it all is when you're out there, it really doesn't seem that brutal. But when you see how it affects the game, when you see how it affects the kicking, the passing, and when you get on the roof,
right,
you can tell that it is very brisk. 1st down and 10. And occasionally you can hear it kicking up in our field mic as Jeff Coughlin brings his troops to the line of scrimmage. Henderson, the guy in motion, and you got a whistle and a timeout. Well, I keep anticipating the yellow flag coming out with the whistle. We haven't had a flag. It's been error-free thus far, but another timeout used with 9:52 left to play in the first half of a scoreless Lancer Viking game.
The Great American Rivalry Series. 48 classic matchups nationwide. The biggest moments under the brightest lights. Hardcore great American football the way it was meant to be. In the stands and on the field. Be a part of the action when the greatest show in high school sports comes to a town near you. The Great American Rivalry Series, presented by the United States Marines from I-High. Who's your rival?
1st down and 10, scoreless ball game, inside 10 to play, half number 1. It is a quickly expiring first half, and that's because the football just hasn't gone upstairs much. Lancers a couple of times, one complete pass, the other incomplete. Vikings have yet to go to the air.
Yeah, and there's been one turnover and one miscue in the kicking game for Northeast. So, you know, it's a game.
Coughlin.
It's a direct snap to Pegues.
Yep, Pegues up to the 30-yard line. Well, both teams then maybe using chaos to their advantage because you got the 3 backs in the backfield. Who knows if it's Coughlin or if it'll be Pegues or maybe even Henderson that takes the snap directly.
Yeah, Northeast is taking a different approach to this game than they did the previous one, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's Pegues back there again.
This time it is Pawnell in motion.
Another direct snap play.
And Pegues able to get up to the 33-yard line, where it'll bring up a 3rd down.
And this time Copplin's back in, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Central try a safe pass here.
One complete pass of the ball game. Went to Henderson on a 3rd down and 14. It picked up 4 at the moment and set up a 4th down and 10. That happened on the drive previous. Here it is 3rd down and 6. Coughlin underneath center. And the reverse. It will have a first.
Nice run.
Highland able to get up to the 40-yard line where it'll be 1st down and 10.
And even on that play, you saw the wind affect the toss.
A short little toss.
Exactly. But, you know, Central, will eventually put the ball in the air. Their coach is a former wide receiver. I know if I played with him, I would have had a few more touchdown passes. Rich Drayton, he was a great receiver for the Lancers.
First down and 10, football spotted at the 40. Nearing the 8-minute mark in the first half. Coughlin with the rollout, and you mentioned they would eventually go upstairs. And Coughlin able to get close to a first. There's the first flag tossed into the fray.
It'll be interesting to see what happened here.
Let's see if it will be a second down and short, or if this one's coming
Looks
back.
like it's against the Lancers.
This is a game thus far that has been absent of the big play. There just has not been much in the way of a big play. The lone exception might be the Henderson run where he bounced off one tackle, but then he fumbled the football, so it kind of nullifies the big play. Right there, you've got a nice run by Coughlin, nullified by the infraction.
Yeah, I think what happened on that one, it was a design pass. Things broke down and he took off and ran. But, you know, you got the penalty, and it was a dead ball personal foul, which is, you know, terrible.
Second down, 15. Football shoved back to the 34-yard line. Rained yesterday. Warmer temperatures. Clear and cooler now. McGee's trying to make the one-hander, cannot. And it will bring up third down and long.
That was another wind-affected pass. Looked like a curveball.
And that's with the wind at your back. We've worried about the fact that teams going into the wind would have trouble. Here's problems with the wind at your back.
Well, I was actually taught when you're playing with wind, when you're throwing into the wind, you have to throw 3 yards in front of the receiver, and when you're playing against the wind, you have to make the ball cut through the wind. It's a difficult. It's more difficult than rain, snow, all the other elements. I'm telling you.
Third down, 15. Coughlin wants to pass, runs out of trouble. Pegues makes the grab, but it will be nowhere close to the first.
That was a great catch and a great tackle.
Fourth down, inside your own territory.
I think you got to punt here.
Plus, you got the wind at your back.
Yeah, I mean, inside the 40, you definitely you should punt. You know, if you get the ball near midfield, I think then you can gamble a little bit, unless you're Bill Belichick or somebody.
Manley back at the 32-yard line, awaiting the kick. High snap, but brought down by Jeremiah Watson. Takes a roll right into the arms of Manley at the 42, and he will make it to the 47.
I think the most athletic play of the day might be Watson catching that snap. And he actually, Northeast had had great penetration on the punt, and he actually punted it underneath the guy's arms to get the punt off.
Another look at it. You're right. Injured player is Zach Panal. And he is grabbing either the knee, it looks like the knee area, and that's certainly not an area where we want to see problems. You don't want injuries at all, but certainly not those knees. But it is good to see it is at a 90-degree angle currently. 6:23 left to play in the first half. Scoreless game between the Vikes and Lancers.
There's no need to worry about how you're going to pay for college anymore. The iHelp Loan Program enables students to fill their needs when financing their education. If you need to borrow money for college, as most Americans do, SLFC and the iHelp loan program may be your best option. The loan features the most competitive rate available and is offered through your local ICBA bank with the help of SLFC, the student loan company thousands have trusted to help them pay for college. Go to slfc.com and explore all your options now.
Good to see Zach Pownell make it to the sidelines. Did have some assistance, but was able to get to the sidelines, and that is good news for the Vikings, who have a first down and 10 on their own 47-yard line. Game has been played primarily between the 30s.
Yes, it has. But I think Northeast with their bunch plow ahead with 3 yards and a cloud of dust formations, I think they're getting the better of play right now.
You mentioned to me prior to the ball game, and I mentioned it now, there is a coach on the Northeast sidelines with shorts on today. As the football is handed off up the middle, that is Manley, who picks up a pair of yards.
Yeah, you know, it's the old psychological thing. You know, if you wear the shorts and you tell yourself it's not cold, then it isn't.
Really?
Yeah, it's the same mentality that offensive linemen sometimes would go out with the no sleeves and sub-zero temperatures. You know, they're trying to psych out the opponent. But I don't know.
It hasn't worked for me. That's just.
I don't know about psyching out a coach.
Second down and 8, football at the 49-yard line. Inside 6 to go in the half. And again, not a whole lot of running room up to midfield, gain of a yard.
But, you know, when we used to dominate teams when I played, our offensive linemen would actually tell the defense where we were going to run. And it looks like Northeast is trying to do that. It's like, we're going to run here. You need to try to stop it.
Sam Reed in on the stop, bringing up a third down. We'll call it 6. Football lying directly on midfield. Manley dives towards the 45. He will be just shy of a first. And it'll bring up a fourth down. And
yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see him go for it here.
Not at all. We've already seen what may be a record number of fourth down conversion attempts in the first half.
I just think it makes sense in this part of the field in this type of game, because the first team that breaks through and scores is going to have a huge advantage.
Central has twice gone for it on fourth down, and now you have got the Vikings for the second time in the ball game going for it on fourth and doing it the exact same way with a Hakeem Coles quarterback sneak. Did he get enough for the first? The official says yes.
Northeast is doing something interesting too, because they have an unbalanced line, so it would seem all the power would be to the right, but yet they're running short side to the left a lot. So I was told they'll probably do a lot of cutback running, but it just seems like they're just plowing up the middle.
First down and 10, football at the 44-yard line. 4:08 to play. Half number 1, Thanksgiving Day game between Northeastern and Central. Nice crowd on hand here in Philadelphia to watch some football prior to eating some turkey. Gain of 4, maybe 5 yards on a first down carry.
Yeah, again, they had the unbalanced line, and they went to the side of where they had the least amount of blockers.
Well, apparently the knee touchdown after 3. I'm thinking this guy's got 5.
Yeah, it looked like a much bigger game, but you're right.
And the gentleman, by the way, running the football, wearing number 39, we have no number or name on the roster as Manley powers his way inside the 33 to the 32. And the Northeast squad that had trouble picking up a first is picking up firsts on this drive.
Yeah, you could feel it a little bit, like that they were starting to get the better of play.
Football at the 32.
Lancer's making a valiant effort, but Northeast squad is a little bit bigger.
Coles leaves the football behind. Lancers say they've got it. They do. It was Pegues who pounced on it, and that drive is thwarted.
Well, there's your equalizer right there. And it looks like Northeast has a player hurt.
That is Charles Anderson who is down.
He's the center, isn't he?
He is indeed. First team all-leaguer. Looks like a cramp issue, but a day like today is not typically when you have cramp issues.
Yeah, but you don't want to get a cramp on a cold day.
So in the timeout, why don't we take one as well? Still a scoreless ball game, 2:43 left to play, half number one. Looked like the Vikings were on the prowl, but the Lancers come up with a fumble recovery. Great American Rivalry Series in its 10th anniversary. Takes a timeout.
On the field or in the bleachers, get your game day gear from Hibbett Sports.
There's no need to worry about how you're going to pay for college anymore. The iHelp Loan Program enables students to fill their needs when financing their education. If you need to borrow money for college, as most Americans do, SLFC and the iHelp Loan Program may be your best option. The loan features the most competitive rate available and is offered through your local ICBA bank with the help of SLFC, the student loan company thousands have trusted to help them pay for college. Go to slfc.com and explore all your options now.
Charles Anderson was helped to the sidelines. That could be a major blow. You've got a guy that plays both sides of the football, snaps the football on offense for Northeast. Anderson did not look particularly healthy coming to the sidelines.
Yeah, and there's two linemen you don't want to lose, your center and your left tackle. You don't want to lose those guys.
First down and 10 for the Lancers. It is Coughlin. And Coughlin able to pick up 7 to the 38.
Yeah, he was dragged down by his arm on that. If he could break his arm free, he might still be running.
Second down and 3. Inside 3, nearing 2 minutes left to play in the first half. Scoreless ball game.
Central showing some fight here.
You've had fumbles, fumble recoveries, muff punts. Only one infraction in the ball game thus far. No score. Very few passes.
All of them from Central.
Coughlin wants to air it out. And it may have been picked off. It was at the 29-yard line. Hakeem Coles, who likes to toss the football on offense, likes to grab it on defense.
Well, that was a play where it looked like he might have had single coverage, but the safety baited him into throwing it, and the safety was the one who picked it off.
Obviously, the Lancers had intentions on running the football down the field, but if you're not going to run it down the field, that's better than a punt.
Well, I think sometimes you got to take that shot just to loosen them up. And as I mentioned, Central's coach, a former receiver, he's not going to let his quarterback not throw the ball.
First down and 10, football at the 30-yard line. Let's see how the loss of Anderson, and we can hope that it's only a temporary loss of Anderson, how that plays out for the Vikings.
Yeah, I would blitz up the middle on the first play.
Bouncing into the outside and still on his feet to the 35. Gain of 5 on a first down carry. By the way, we've had guys come in our box going, who's 39? The PA guy's not sure who 39 is, but he's doing a dandy job for the Vikings.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if he's a legal player. Just kidding.
Brian Green, we understand, so the mystery has been resolved. It is Brian Green who is wearing 39 for the Vikings.
We got to do a DNA test on Brian Green and make sure that's who he is.
Second down. Manley very close to a first, about a yard shy, 3rd and short.
By the way, that run by Green was the first time Northeast ran to the outside, and then they ran back up the middle on that last play. kind of like chopping down a tree. You know, you keep attacking the middle.
Eventually.
Eventually.
Got a prediction as to whether we'll have a score before the half comes to an end?
My prediction would be no.
Scoreless first half, maybe. Third down and short. Manley got the first, leaned across the 40 to the 42.
Clock stops to move the chains, but then.
If you're Northeast, are you trying to get into the end zone before these 32 ticks expire?
Well, I think, you know, if I'm Northeast, yes, because the longer Central can hang around, you know, the more doubt that Northeast will have. Beautiful play.
Cole stopped behind the line of scrimmage, loses 3. By the way, Anderson back in the lineup, so it is good to see something that looked like it was a pretty devastating injury, was not one, and Anderson able to come back onto the turf. And that has done it for a couple of quarters of football. It is scoreless. Nothing's happened yet as far as crossing the end zone, but we've had plenty of action between the 30s. Scoreless first half, Vikings and Lancers. We come right back right after we take a timeout. 10th anniversary of the Great American Rivalry Series is in Philadelphia on Thanksgiving Day.
There are a few who move toward the sounds of chaos, ready to respond at a moment's notice. And when the time comes, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are forged in the crucible of training. They are the few, the proud, the Marines.
It's halftime, scoreless ball game. Fans, the Great American Rivalry Series would like to take a moment to honor the scholar athletes, the top ones from each school, as a part of our series. So it's more than just a football game. It's more than just a rivalry series. It's also recognizing some scholar athletes. For Northeast High School, there you see the backside of the jersey that belongs to William Smart, a first-team all-public school selection on defense, 3-year letterman, 2013 Maxwell Award winner, also lettered in basketball and track. 3.85 GPA for William Smart. And standing beside a couple of Marines on the far sidelines, it is Walt Pegues. Rushed for more than 1,000 yards this season, 13 TDs, over 1,500 yards in his career, a GPA of 3.89. So hats off to both William Smart from Northeast and Walt Pegues from Central High School for a job well done. Well, it's a very special day in the history of the Great American Rivalry Series. As many of you know, the series was conceived 10 years ago because of a rivalry series game played on Thanksgiving between two high schools in Louisville, Kentucky, Manual and Male, which began in 1893, just a year after this one began in 92. It was in the spirit of that game that the rivalry series was launched in 2004 to celebrate the game and those like it across America. And now, here in our 10th year, we're wrapping up a season of great rivalries. It's fitting we should conclude the season with a game started in 1892 and still played on Thanksgiving here in Philadelphia. We're going to send you back now to the iHigh Central Broadcast Center for a very special recap of this first decade of the Great American Rivalry Series and an interview with the series creator, the president and CEO of iHigh, Rick Ford, with our very own Gary Ball, the original play-by-play broadcaster of the series, Let's take a moment to enjoy.
He's at the 30, 20, 15, breaks the tackle, touchdown!
This is Rick Ford for the Great American Rivalry Series. We travel all over the country. We see the big game.
What a storied history this rivalry has.
Both these communities are with their football teams today. Let's go out and let's celebrate and we are great.
Welcome to Louisville, Kentucky.
Maryville, Tennessee.
Ohio, here in the Great American Rivalry Series. Presented 10. He's to the 5, breaks the tackle, and touchdown.
This is Rick Ford coming to you for the Great American Rivalry Series 2011 edition. This is our 8th year out on the road. We've been to games from Maine to Florida and everywhere in between.
From Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania.
We're here at Lakewood, Ohio.
It's one of the oldest rivalries in the country.
8,000-9,000 people here easy.
It's awesome. The fans just go crazy.
Our goal is to make sure that this game remains the sacred thing it is.
These games, it's part of the community. It's something everyone plans for, and it happens for a week, not a day. Tonight's game is a rivalry, and you'll see the best football you're going to see.
It's the Great American Rivalry Series.
The Great Rivalry Series here on IHI.
Being broadcast across the globe to the Marines and our military personnel worldwide.
It's a great honor to be able to sponsor this event.
What a storied history this rivalry has.
Today we expect these two teams to fight head-to-head.
Big rivalry game.
One of the top 25 high school rivalry games in the country.
What a way to start the rivalry.
One of the oldest rivalries in the nation.
It's just a terrific rivalry.
It's one of the oldest rivalries in the country, and any better than that.
These things right here, they don't give them away. They don't give them away. We thank you for what you're doing for our country.
One thing remains unchanged: the traditions as the greatest American rivalries.
Thank you very much, Robert. Welcome back here to iHigh Sports Central. Gary Ball with the President CEO of iHigh. We're talking about Rick Ford. And Rick, welcome into the halftime today.
Well, thank you, Gary. I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to this game that we're watching here today from Philadelphia.
And you're also the creator of the Great American Rivalry Series. 10 years now. How was it all started?
It was started when we came up with the idea that maybe there is a game every season that's a little more important than just your average game. And if you win that game, no matter what your record, you've had a great season.
What is it designed to highlight, the Great American Rivalry?
It's designed to highlight tradition. It's designed to highlight the games that mean more than just a regular season. And it's really designed to help the community recognize something special about themselves and the fact that this game's been played over a long number of years.
And how far has it come?
It's come an amazing way. I think you remember back when we first started it, we did 6 games. And this past year, we went 86 games, coast to coast, border to border.
You've seen a ton of them, these Great American Rivalry games. You've been all over the country. Why are these traditional rivalries so important to these communities and these high schools?
Well, I think what happens around these games, Gary, is that everything else is suspended. This is a game all unto itself. It's almost aside from the season. And if you can turn this game into a win, you've changed a bad season into a great season. And what comes with it are all the traditions, the parades, the bonfires, everything that goes into making a rivalry that special game.
Well, we said 10 years. What are some of the games that stick out for you, Rick Ford, with this Great American Rivalry Series?
Wow, tough question. But we've seen them all the way from Texas, where Odessa, Permian, Midland Lee, the famous Friday Night Light game, they lived up their billing. We were down there for several years. We moved up into Oklahoma at Jinx Union. They probably had one of the best finishes I've ever seen in the 10 years that we've done this. Then you take yourself over to Massillon McKinley. You can't ever go to a rivalry series and not mention them. You have, as of course, the Male Emmanuel game, which was the game that started all this for us.
And that was a terrific game this year, the Male Emmanuel game. As you said, throw out the records, because Male was undefeated, ranked number 1 in the state, but Emmanuel would have none of that in the Great American Rivalry game.
Well, you know, and that's what makes these games so special, because no matter where they are going into the game, the only thing that matters is who's win after the game.
Well, you know, Rick, we talked about where we've been with the Great American Rivalry Series. Now let's talk about where we're going. The next 10 years, boy, they look good.
Boy, they do. And I'm going to tell you what, it's going to be a challenge to beat what we've been able to accomplish in the first 10. But we'll be going to every game we can find in the country. And that's an invitation to all of you watching today. If you have a rivalry game that you haven't seen in our series over the past 10 years, be sure to submit your application to GreatAmericanRivalry.com. And we'll consider you for the rivalries that are coming ahead.
That's how easy it is.
Just that
apply,
easy.
And you could become one of the Great American Rivalry Series games just to go to the GreatAmericanRivalry.com website. Well, Robert, that's where we've been. That's where we're going. But we're going back to you now in Philadelphia with the second half. Let's go back to Robert.
Northeast and Central, scoreless. And we have some gentlemen here who have not only protected this country, but also made it possible in part that we bring coverage of a Thanksgiving Day ball game. Staff Sergeant, you and your gentleman beside you, you'll have an opportunity to introduce. Let me first of all say thank you very much for an outstanding job the United States Marine Corps does on a day-in, day-out basis.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
Chilly day here in Philadelphia.
Yes, it is.
Are you used to this kind of stuff?
Yes, I am, sir.
Well, tell us about your service with the United States Marines. Where has it taken you?
It's taken me all around the world. I just came back from Afghanistan in 2010, and I became a recruiter and stationed in Philadelphia right now.
Those trips overseas, it gives you a new perspective on life in America, I guess.
Yes, sir, it do.
Tell us, too, about these gentlemen who are standing nearby.
Right next to me, sir, I have Private Zong and Private First Class Kalafinko. Both of them graduated from Northeast High School in 2013, and I'm their recruiter.
Now, are you and these gentlemen stationed here in the Philadelphia area?
No, sir. These guys are actually just came back from boot camp 2 days ago. So they're on leave right now before they go back into training.
So that's why they've got that look on their face, right? Well, I want to say on behalf of the Great American Rivalry Series, thank you so very much for being a part of bringing these ball games to the entire world. But aside from that, and certainly more significantly, thank you for the service to this country.
You're welcome, sir.
It is halftime, and we thank these guys for an excellent job well done. And speaking of a job well done, the defensive units for the Vikings and Lancers, well, they've certainly done a number on one another. It is scoreless at the half, and we're back after this.
Students, wanting to go to college?
Parents, wanting to send your high school student to college? Know how you're going to pay for it?
Give us 2 minutes, and we'll tell you everything you need to know.
There's no need to worry about how you're going to pay for college anymore. We'll show you exactly how to find grants, scholarships, and if you need it, a loan with the best terms available.
SLFC is here to help.
The Student Loan Finance Corporation works closely with students, as well as their lenders and schools, to alleviate education loan headaches. SLFC specializes in helping students with and servicing alternative loans that feed hungry minds nationwide. SLFC has now introduced a new loan program through member banks of the ICBA, the Independent Community Bankers Association. The iHelp loan program enables students to fill their needs when financing their education. We ensure that anyone who wants to pursue post-secondary education has access to timely, adequate financing and experienced helpers.
Through the iHelp loan program, students are offered loans with low interest rates and no teaser rates.
The program provides private student loans designed to supplement but not replace scholarships, grants, and other financial aid options, including federal student loans currently offered on college campuses.
Not sure where to start? SLFC has designed a website with tons of resources for helping you plan for and fund an education, whether you're in college now or plan on attending college soon. Let's break it down. First, the Planning for College section. This provides you with a timeline to guide you through several of the steps you need to know about when applying to schools. The Paying for College section will help you navigate your way through the financial aid process, making it easier for you to take advantage of all the options available to you.
For example, did you know there are hundreds of scholarships available, and many are actively looking for students? You don't have to be valedictorian to earn these scholarships. We have the details online.
The Toolkit helps you choose a college and career based on your interests and needs, and features our exclusive trend tracker that matches you with colleges based on a variety of criteria.
Imagine, all in one place, the cost of each college, the average test scores, and dozens of other features, all in one graphic map. And finally, if you need to borrow money for college, as most Americans do, SLFC and the iHelp loan program may be your best option. The loan features the most competitive rate available and is offered through your local ICBA bank with the help of SLFC, the student loan company thousands have trusted to help them pay for college.
Go to slfc.com and explore all of your options now.
are a few who move toward the sounds of chaos, ready to respond at a moment's notice. And when the time comes, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are forged in the crucible of training. They are the few, the proud, the Marines.
Today's contest, which is at the half between Central and Northeast, designated as a featured game in the nationwide 2013 Great American Rivalry Series 10th year anniversary. We wish to thank the United States Marines and iHigh Marketing for selecting this game as part of their exciting series. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at Great American Rivalry Series and follow us on Twitter at American Rivalry. It is halftime. Somebody's got to score. I guess you could have a
nothing tie.
Yeah,
maybe.
I guess. Did they do that in the state of Pennsylvania, though?
That's a really good question. Never ask a former player if they do ties.
You've got different tiebreakers all over the United States, the most popular of which is the Kansas tiebreaker in high school, which is to put the football on the 10-yard line. You give them 4 plays to try to punch it in. But somebody's got to score in this ball game, you would assume, at some point.
I actually think that, the way they're running the ball, that someone will break through. There'll be a missed assignment defensively, and someone will bust through. I think Central did a good job trying to open things up by throwing that deep pass. Unfortunately, it was intercepted for them, but I think that can kind of loosen things up for their running game.
Longest play from scrimmage, though, a 14-yarder, and that was the Henderson run that wound up being fumbled away, and the Vikings get possession. So you haven't had those big plays that would lead you to believe you're going to have the potential of scoring. But, obviously, we've got 24 minutes left in the second half, so who knows what will happen. But it just doesn't look like a game where you're going to have a slugfest, an offensive slugfest.
Well, my former player pulse tells me that when you have a game like this, that eventually someone pops through. And I think that's what's going to happen in this game. And actually, the first team to score is going to be at a huge advantage.
It is halftime, scoreless. We're getting set for second half action. It should happen momentarily. Vikings and Lancers. Could be one of those games where the team that scores wins. Scoreless of the half. Back after this 10th anniversary of the Great American Rivalry Series is in Pennsylvania on Thanksgiving Day.
Few who move toward the sounds of chaos. Forged in the crucible of training, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are the few, the proud, the Marines.
On the field or in the bleachers, get your game day gear from Hibbett Sports.
The Great American Rivalry Series. 48 classic matchups nationwide. The biggest moments under the brightest lights. Hardcore great American football the way it was meant to be. In the stands and on the fields. Be a part of the action when the greatest show in high school sports comes to a town near you. The Great American Rivalry Series, presented by the United States Marines from I-High. Who's your rival?
There are a few who move toward the sounds of chaos, ready to respond at a moment's notice. And when the time comes, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are forged in the crucible of training. They are the few, the proud, the Marines.
It is halftime, scoreless ball game, Northeast and Central. You and I were having an interesting conversation, I thought, off air. We'll bring it on air, and that is you were a member of the 243rd graduating class from Central High School, and whereas other high schools might say I'm class of 13, class of 79, not necessarily true here?
No, at Central it's all about your class number. So whenever I go back to Central, they say, what's your class? And I go 243. I don't say class of 84, you know, and it's one of the things that makes our high school distinctive.
And the school established in 1836, which was the year the Alamo was fought, if that gives you some kind of idea how far back in time you go. So you mentioned the fact that the 243 doesn't necessarily correspond with the number of years back the school was established, but that's because there used to be multiple graduating classes.
Correct. Used to graduate. There was a graduation in January and one in June. And Central was all male until my senior year of 1984. The first women students came in that year, and you know, it's been co-ed ever since. So it was an all-male tradition up until 1984, and then it's been co-ed.
And if you were to go online and Google either one of these schools, Northeast or Central, it's just got such a long list of notable alumni that have attended these schools.
Yeah, Herb Adderley played at Northeast. I only know that because I used to date his daughter. And and you know, they had a running back, Angelo Coya. You know, Central has had Bill Cosby. Several notable alums who've played, including Rich Drayton, who played at Temple University.
And you have already mentioned to me that it's almost like it was yesterday that you played in this series. So this is something, once you participate in this rivalry, you never forget.
You never forget it. And people always ask you, how'd you do in the Thanksgiving game? You know, and unfortunately I have to say that we lost. It was a rainy day, so we didn't get to do much in the passing game, which would showcase my skills.
Well, there was a lengthy delay before the Vikings and Lancers made their way back out onto the Tundra, so they are back. You got some pre-games, some mid-games, the warm-ups to take care of before we get second-half action underway. We do that 3 minutes from now. 10th anniversary of the Great American Rivalry Series in Philadelphia on Thanksgiving Day.
There are a few who move toward the sounds of chaos, ready to respond at a moment's notice. And when the time comes, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are forged in the crucible of training. They are the few, The crowd, the Marines.
There's no need to worry about how you're going to pay for college anymore. The iHelp Loan Program enables students to fill their needs when financing their education. If you need to borrow money for college, as most Americans do, SLFC and the iHelp Loan Program may be your best option. The loan features the most competitive rate available and is offered through your local ICBA bank with the help of SLFC, the student loan company thousands have trusted to help them pay for college. Go to slfc.com and explore all your options now.
On the field or in the bleachers, get your game day gear from Hibbett Sports.
The Great American Rivalry Series. 48 classic matchups nationwide. The biggest moments under the brightest lights. Hardcore great American football the way it was meant to be. In the stands and on the field. Be a part of the action when the greatest show in high school sports comes to a town near you. The Great American Rivalry Series. Presented by the United States Marines. From iHigh. Who's your rival?
As part of the U.S. Marine sponsorship of today's game, they've brought their national Pep Challenge to Philadelphia. We'd like to encourage fans from both Central and Northeast to participate in the Pep Marines Challenge to see which fans are the loudest. The school that screams the most determines who will be the winner, and that will happen in the third and fourth stanzas of play here. Well, it got very loud at halftime just when the cheerleaders walk. I mean, this is a brutal rivalry. The opposing cheerleaders walk onto the field. The home team gets rowdy. The home cheerleaders walk onto the field, and the visiting squad gets rowdy.
Yeah, well, there's no love lost, as they say. And I just think that, it makes sense to be loud on a day like today because the louder you are, probably the warmer you are.
Generates a little warmth as well on a 34-degree day here in Philadelphia with winds consistently around 15, occasionally 20 or 25. And after an extended halftime, the Vikings onto the field, so too are the Lancers, and we are ready to begin second half play.
Kind of like halftime was frozen in time.
It was indeed. No passes from the Vikings in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it's who they are. They run the ball, and they're looking to break Manly off on a nice gainer to see if they can get into the end zone that way.
All teed up. We're ready to get second half action underway. Johnson back to receive, but he won't have an opportunity.
Guy was down.
Yeah. That's right. Well, you can't blame the fella like Ukahugwe, who is wanting to pick the football up and use NFL rules on this Thursday. There's, 3 NFL games. Why not?
Yeah.
But once that knee touches and you're, regardless of whether you are touched by an opposing player, you are down. So that is where things begin. First down and 10 as we begin stanza number 3.
It'd be interesting to see if Northeast continues to mush rush. Just line up everybody in the middle and just plow forward. Or if they try to open things up, because if they were to do play action, it would surprise everyone in the stadium.
Manley in the backfield on a first down and 10. Coles underneath center. And it is Manley who will find the running tough again up the middle. Picks up a yard or two.
Right now they're being really predictable. In the first game that they played, that these two teams played, Coach Drayton was telling me that Northeast was doing a lot of cutback runs, and not so today. They're just lining up and say, we're running right at you and you got to stop it.
Gain of 2 by Manley. Second down and 8. Football across the 40 to the 41-yard line. First half went quickly. We had 3 pass plays. All came from Lancer. Otherwise, all on the ground on a second down and 8. And now Coles realigning his backfield.
Look like an old wishbone formation.
Running room to the outside. Got the first. And then upended at the 44-yard line. Johnson able to pick up positive yardage.
I think that's only the second or third time that they've run to the outside, and that time with success.
And that is the biggest play thus far today from scrimmage. Evan Johnson, the senior running back, able to get inside the 45 to the 42-yard line. We're in his first down and 10. Well, the game of football all about adjustments, and it will be interesting to see who made the appropriate halftime changes.
So a fullback dive here.
Couple of yards brings up second down. Well, we want to say hello to everyone, all the servicemen and women around the world who are serving this country. This our final game of the 10th anniversary series. You only have one 10th anniversary.
There you go.
Of course, now we'll have an 11th.
There you go. And Thanksgiving is always a great time to say thanks to those who do things for us to keep our lives at the pace that we're able to enjoy.
Many of those liberties we probably take for granted, but they do not. Manley across the 40, down to the 39-yard line, picks up a yard. Third down, 7 for the Vikings, opening drive of the second half.
They're continuing to run to the short side of that unbalanced line. It's an unusual formation because normally you have a center, a guard, and a tackle. They have a center, a guard, and then on the other side, center, guard, tackle, other tackle, tight end.
It is certainly offset.
Definitely.
Third down play for Coles. Here's the guy that's been the workhorse. Manley gets nothing. Fourth down.
Interesting decision here. Because this is a field position game, if it were me, I would punt here.
Looks like Coles, after a trot to the sidelines, turns and heads back with his punting team in tow.
I would do something they don't tend to do in the pros, which is angle kick it. In the pros, they want to kick the ball up high and let it die inside the 10. The old coffin corner, as they used to call it. You just kick it toward the end line, and you have a really good shot at the ball going out of bounds.
Manley also handles the kicking chores, angles it towards the sidelines. That was a nice kick.
Yep.
Down to the, now past the 10 as the official continues to walk.
That's a bad spot.
To the 15. From this vantage point, certainly looked like he had slapped it out inside the 10.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the 12 at best, but, to spot that ball at the 15, I don't know what that guy was looking at.
First down and 10 for the Lancers. Opening drive in the second half for Central. Scoreless game. A game that has featured few passes, 2 fumbles.
A punt miscue.
1 miscue from a standpoint of penalty. So it has been error-free from that perspective. Handoff is given up the middle.
Pegues again.
Pegues, the scholar athlete, making his way to the 20, gains 5.
Yeah, to get a 3.89 at Central, kid's got some brains. Central's an academic institution.
And then on top of that, rush for 1,000 yards.
Oh, yeah.
So you're devoting time to athletics and academics, and not necessarily in that order, by the way. Second down, football on the 20, pitch back to Pegues. And he spun around and pummeled, lost the football. Manley says we got it.
I thought he was down by contact.
I think you're right. Brings up a 3rd down and 4.
They're basically saying he didn't get a gain on that, which it looked like he got at least a couple of yards, but if they're spotting it after the fumble, then maybe it's a no gain. I think that's what they did.
Pegues, the guy in motion. Copeland gives it to Pegues. He's got enough for the first, crosses the 25, gets out to the 29.
And that's a tough little run right there. Able to weave his way through the garbage, as they call it, and then cut it up just at the right time. He planted that foot and got north and south and got that first down.
Scoreless game through a couple of quarters, and now we're nearly halfway through the 3rd. Still don't have anything on the board.
And if you're Central at this point, you'll take this. You just want to hang around and give yourself some scoring opportunities. And actually, they've had more scoring opportunities.
Copeland looking at a 1st and 10 for the I formation. Able to roll out, goes upstairs, pass is complete. What a brutal shot.
I recognize that play. That's 46 drive bootleg pass. And when he came out of the boot, the defensive end was right there, but he made enough, he had enough finesse to get around him and throw a nice pass to get a good gainer for the Lancers.
Take another look at it as Siebert makes the grab, crosses the 45 to the 46-yard line, and the 6'1", 190-pounder just laid a licking on some of those defensive backs.
Yeah, nice run after contact.
Opening drive in the second half of the Lancers. Vikings have had their chance. Pegues inside Vikings territory, picks up 7.
You know, the Central offense it looks a lot more diverse than the Northeast offense. Northeast has been content to run the ball mainly up the middle. Central is running reverses, they're running counters, they're running traps, and they're passing the ball a little bit.
Well, the first thing you might look at is the experience of the quarterback, but you're looking at both sophomores, so it's not the experience that's determining the varied plays for the Lancers. Handoff up the middle.
And, you know, Copeland has a lot of poise for a sophomore. Going to have a 3rd and about 1 here.
Vikings opening drive in the second half. Got inside Lancer territory before stalling. Now you've got the Lancers inside Viking territory looking at a 3rd and 1. This is 4-down territory here.
Absolutely, and this is not their deepest penetration. You know, after that botched punt, they were inside the 30.
You got movement, second penalty of the ball game.
That's terrible. You know, the guys on the outside, they have the advantage of looking in at the ball. And now you take 3rd and manageable to 3rd and a little more difficult.
Changes the complexion of the play calling.
Absolutely. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Central try another rollout type play to the wide side, flood a zone, and but it looks like the way they're in formation right now, this play's going to the short side.
Copeland from the gun to go upstairs. Flushed out of the pocket. Gets back to the line of scrimmage and then some. It will bring up a 4th down.
Yeah, it'll be 4th and about 2 from my initial, unless he stepped out of bounds. But I think it was 4th and about 2.
Well, you're right. The official
Marked him
says
out.
he did
Yeah.
step out. It'll bring up a 4th down and 5. Football at the 49-yard line. Still 4-down territory.
Well, it is 4th down.
And you're kicking into the wind.
And they're going for it.
So here comes Copeland and company. They are 2 for 2 on, make that 1 for 2 on 4th down conversions in the ball game.
There's that naked boot again.
Copeland wrapped up down on the 41-yard line.
Now, part of the design on a bootleg is the run fake has to be good enough to hold the defensive end. And that time, the run fake just wasn't good enough. We saw the bootleg coming before it happened.
The Marines tossing T-shirts into the stands. Well, these Marines making folks happy in a variety of ways. A couple of guys, by the way, we met at halftime, just made their way through boot camp.
Yeah, they're happy to be anywhere at this point, and probably a little sore. It's amazing how people get excited over a piece of cotton.
Hey, but these aren't just any piece of cotton. These are Great American Rivalry.
Well,
you know, I'm still trying to twist Rick's arm and see if I can get one.
Okay, all right.
So these are special pieces of merchandise
okay,
being tossed by the Marines in the stands. Looks like we've got a timeout on the field. And with a timeout on the scoreless ball game, 3:41 left to play in the third. Let's take timeout to say thanks to some of the folks that have made our 10th anniversary possible.
The Great American Rivalry Series. 48 classic matchups nationwide. The biggest moments under the brightest lights. Hardcore great American football the way it was meant to be. In the stands and on the field. Be a part of the action when the greatest show in high school sports comes to a town near you. The Great American Rivalry Series. Presented by the United States Marines. From iHigh. Who's your rival?
We're in Northeast Philadelphia. 3:41 left to play, third quarter. Thanksgiving Day. Happy Thanksgiving Day to you. We are on the way south going to indulge in some turkey. But before we got turkey, we got football. And somebody will put some points on the board. And it just might be the team that wins this one. As we're looking now at a 1st down and 10. And the football belongs to the Vikings after the Lancers had their opportunity in the third stanza, and very similar drives with the exception of the end of the drive. Vikings first drive gets inside Lancer territory, stalls, and on a 4th down they kick it away. This one by the Lancers stalls on 4th down. They try to go into pass formation, and Copeland dropped way behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, I think the thing that hurt Central on that drive was the penalty. You had a 3rd and 1 that becomes a 3rd and 6. Just because the guy can't stay in his stance, a false start, and it's a guy on the outside who's probably not impacting the play.
And only the second penalty of the ball game. Both have been charged to the Lancers. It is 1st down and 10 for the Vikings, and now there's the 3rd flag in the ball game.
This one's against Northeast.
First infraction against the Vikings.
And actually, by formation, they look like they might have been ready to attempt their first pass of the game.
Well, having been shoved 5 yards backwards, it may be even more likely at some point we'll see the Vikings put the ball upstairs for the first time.
It would make sense, but I'm just not sure about the passing prowess of the Vikings at this point.
Akeem Cole, sophomore quarterback, has not put the ball upstairs thus far. In this one, he has picked off a pass, though. Picked off a Copeland pass in the second stanza.
And I think that's the advantage of a quarterback playing safety. You can bait a quarterback into throwing something.
Manley gets the 5, given up on the penalty and then some.
Yeah, that's a tough run right there.
9-yard gain brings up a 2nd down. Second and 6, football inside the 40. Taking another look at it is Manley. Just powered his way.
It's impressive when a running back can gain yards after the first contact. That's actually a stat that a lot of colleges keep to evaluate their players.
Inside 3 to go in the third. Coles sends Manley wide left. And inside the 37 near the 36-yard line.
There's something to keep an eye on that play. It looked like the quarterback center exchange. The quarterback is supposed to bring that ball tight to his body right after the snap, and he kind of had a delay where he had the ball extended away from his body, and that's something, if I'm a defender, I'm looking to chop and get a turnover.
Eric Johnson picking up a pair of yards, 3rd down and 4, and safe to assume for the Vikings this is 4-down territory.
Safe to assume this is probably going to be a run, too, to the short side of that unbalanced line.
And that one, Curtis split wide to this side.
They'll probably put a guy in motion. Maybe not.
First
pass. Intercept.
Well, there's part of the reason the Vikings probably have not put the football up much during the course of this one. First pass of the ball game picked off by Solomon Fields.
I'm really not sure what the pre-snap read was on that. Because, I mean, he had that pass picked like as it left his hand.
Curtis had to turn into a defender, the intended target. That is the 4th turnover of this ball game. And here's a penalty flag. And it's charged to the Lancers.
Wow. That penalty I don't understand, because they hadn't established that they were set yet, so that back can move in the backfield.
First down 15 for the Lancers. Coughlin over to Pegues, able to break a tackle in the 25. Stiff arms Curtis, who finally catches up with him at the 40.
That was a nice play, again, avoiding being brought down by first contact and picking up positive yardage there, gaining back the penalty and then some.
2nd down and 7 after the gain of 9. Nose of the football just shy of the 40-yard line. "48 minutes of regulation, and thus far better than 30 of it's been scoreless." Pegues, the guy in motion, across the 40 to the 41-yard line. Ralph Highland on the carry. Brings up a 3rd down, long 4.
It was a decent run by Highland. He tends to run a little high, actually. If he were to get a lower crouch and get his center of gravity under him, he could probably gain a lot more yardage on a play like that. Inside of 30 seconds when this ball is snapped.
For the Lancers, roughly one more play with the wind in their face. 3rd down and 4 at the 42-yard line. The I formation. Pegues, ouch, that hurt. He hit a wall right at the line of scrimmage, able to stumble forward for a yard.
Yeah, the Central offense allowed too much penetration in the middle defensively.
And that will bring up a 4th down, but
in the end of the 3rd quarter.
Lancers will let the clock tick down, and if they're going to boot it away, they will do it with the wind at their back. 12 minutes, maybe, left in this one. Still scoreless. Lancers and Vikings 10th anniversary of the Great American Rivalry Series, brought to you in part by the United States Marines.
The Great American Rivalry Series. 48 classic matchups nationwide. The biggest moments under the brightest lights. Hardcore great American football the way it was meant to be. In the stands and on the field. Be a part of the action when the greatest show in high school sports comes to a town near you. The Great American Rivalry Series, presented by the United States Marines from iHigh. Who's your rival?
On the field or in the bleachers, get your game day gear from Hibbett Sports.
Scoreless ball game into the fourth stanza. 12 minutes of regulation left.
Looks like the Lancers will punt here.
On a 4th down and 3.
Or fake. Wouldn't be surprised with that.
Manley back to receive. Jeremiah Watson handling the kicking chores.
He's the kicker and the punter.
Scoreless ball game through 36 minutes of football. And nobody's been inside the red zone thus far in this football game.
I think the most important thing on this play is the snap.
It will be into the wind. So the long snappers got a task as Jeremiah Watson gets ready to accept that snap and boot it in the direction of Manley. Manley not giving him much on the punt. He's only back about 20 yards.
Yeah, well, he's watching the same pregame warm-ups we were. I know a little something about punting. I did that my first couple years at Central.
Watson line drive kick. Manley will field at the 26. Still on his feet to the 35. And to the 38-yard line goes Manley, where it'll be 1st and 10.
Nice little return by Manley on that. As you aptly described it, it was a line drive punt, and those are eminently returnable.
Deepest penetration of the ball game was the 27-yard line by the Lancers, and that was after a botched punt by the Vikings. Otherwise, I'm trying to recall the times one team has been inside the other's 30. Not often.
Right. I think the Lancers have hurt themselves with penalties. Here we go,
and
around the
off
outside.
The end around. And there's the 1st and more, gain of 15. Keith Moore picking up 15 on a 1st down carry, and very quickly inside Lancer territory goes the Vikings.
Got a little speed on that. Again, you're starting to look around and wait. And one of these teams, I think, is going to come up with a big play.
First down and 10 football inside the 45 of the 44. Well, it worked on the other side. Try it this side.
Oh, nice hit.
Read this time to perfection. Keith Moore wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage, lost a yard.
I think that was Blake Schwartz on that tackle.
Coles trots to the sidelines, then carries in the play from coach to field. In between each play to 2nd down and 11, football at the 45.
Yeah, I used to hate to have to ask the coach what play to run. I always knew what play I wanted to run.
He just didn't always jive with what the coach wanted to run.
Most of the time it was the exact opposite.
Manley on the carry, gets back to the line of scrimmage, picks up the yard lost on the previous play by Moore.
Yeah, Manley's a tough runner. He's very rarely brought down at that first contact. First contact was made in the backfield, and he's able to scamper ahead for a yard or two. It's a sign of a good running back.
3rd down and long. Well, let's see if this.
I think this is 4 down territory again.
I was about to mention maybe this 3rd down sets up a potential 4th down play. Moore the guy in motion. Calls on the keeper.
That time they faked the reverse, but not fooling the Lancers.
It is fourth down.
It's 4th and long, and like I said, it looks like it's 4th down territory.
Inside 10 to play.
Now this is an opportunity in the game. 4th and long, kind of a desperate situation. Turnover could change this game.
We've had several. 2 interceptions, 2 fumbles. And apparently there's been a decision not to punt. Not to go for it on fourth, but to punt. And Pegues will drift back to receive for the Lancers, standing inside his 15. Well, this may be
the most dangerous man on the field is the personal protector of the punter. That's the one who's hit that first punt went off of.
Rolls down inside the 10, inside the 6. Winds up being the right decision, you would think.
It's the smart move to play field position in a game like this under these conditions. In a game where you seemingly have a physical advantage. You're a larger team. So Central being the more finesse team, you know, if they have the longer they have to go to get a touchdown, the more difficult it's going to be.
Lancers have put the football on the field too in the past, happened to be first stanza. So if you lay it on the turf here, you've got
game changer.
That's right. You got the Vikings in excellent field position. First down and 10. Football spotted at the 6.
And I used to tell my guys in the huddle, we just got a little bit further to go, fellas.
They got a lot further. 94 yards. And Pegues tripped up. Loses 1.
Yeah, I think he was brought down by the 4-yard line on that. Balance is key in the running game. You got to keep your center of gravity. And you got to be able to shift on the balls of your feet, make a move. Looked like that was a potential, 3 to 5 yard gain, but he lost his footing.
And loses 1, second down and 11.
But as you mentioned, it did rain last night, so it might be a little bit slippery out there.
A lot of rain yesterday. Pegues with the carry. He's got running room up the middle. Spins, turns, makes his way to the 18. That's enough for the first.
Yeah, there's balance there.
If you're the Vikings, you've got to be frustrated. It looks like you've got them pinned back deep. You've got them deep on the kick. Then you lose a yard or two on the Pegues slip. But then you give up the 13-yarder up the middle.
Well, Central did a good job of opening a hole, and Pegues, once he saw it, just burst right through it.
Football to the 19-yard line. A little breathing room with 7:40 to play.
Quarterback center exchange, most basic in football. Fumble there.
But recovered by the Lancers apparently. And it is second down and 10.
Well, when you fumble the snap, the quarterback's the first to know. So you got to be the first to get on it.
Second down and long. Not unfamiliar territory for the Lancers, though.
Nope.
As you will recall, it was second and long when Pegues broke the 13-yarder out to the 19.
And I think they'll run something similar, try to get them flowing one way and then have them do a cutback.
Copeland rolls out, looks, got time, looks towards a target, and he throws the pick.
And he paid for it, too.
Second pick of the ball game for Hakeem Coles, just in the right place at the right time when Copeland tosses the football.
Well, in my opinion, Copeland tried to get a little too cute here. Even if he completes that, Pegues was basically triple covered. At that point, you get outside the pocket like that, I would have thrown the ball to Rich Drayton.
And Copeland then really, really paid the price, and he is down back in the 5-yard line. So with the injury timeout, we take one as well. 6:41 to play. Still scoreless. Great American Rivalry. The series is in its 10th anniversary.
On the field or in the bleachers, get your game day gear from Hibbett Sports.
The Great American Rivalry Series. 48 classic matchups nationwide. The biggest moments under the brightest lights. Hardcore great American football the way it was meant to be. In the stands and on the fields. Be a part of the action when the greatest show in high school sports comes to a town near you. The Great American Rivalry Series, presented by the United States Marines from I-High. Who's your rival?
6 minutes, 41 seconds left to play. And Hakeem Coles, second pick of the ball game. This could be a big one, though. It's given the Vikings their best field position of the ball game at the Lancer 30.
Yeah, and I suspect that they're going to just pound it to try to get, at least some points out of this.
We were talking, I believe it was halftime, and James Crenshaw, our executive producer, in on the conversation as well, that he couldn't remember going to halftime in a scoreless game, nor could I, that either of us had done. We go through the third scoreless. Now we're midway through the fourth.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you're playing for the horse, man. You're trying to do your best to keep them out and keep them scoreless. If they can't score, they can't win.
First down and 10, football at the 30. Hakeem Coles, who has inspired the defense, now trying to motivate the offense. Manley going nowhere. Got a yard.
Another mush rush. Their only real success running the ball has been to the outside.
Keith Moore with a big play of 13 yards.
Yeah, and they occasionally get something up the middle, 3, 4, 5 yards, but their big plays have come on the outside, misdirection, trap plays, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the Henderson run to the outside, that was a big gainer as well. You're right, everything big gain thus far has been to the outside. Manley trying the middle and gets a yard. It will bring up a third down and long.
And I get it. You want to punch the ball up the gut. You want to loosen that middle, and that allows you to do a lot of things. But by formation, the way they're lining up, they're really not fooling Central.
And if you're the Vikings and do not convert here on third down, we watched Gormley in the pregame warm-ups kicking into the wind. You're not going to make a field goal from 45 yards out.
It's not likely. And I noticed on the sidelines the backup quarterback is warming up for the Lancers.
And now whistles and a timeout. And the timeout is charged to Northeast. Well, somebody's got to score on Thanksgiving Day. 5:16 to play. Vikings and Lancers battling for the wooden horse. Back after this. .5:16 left to play. We were just handed MVP ballots. We get a vote, and boy, that's a tough one.
Well, I mean, I would look at Manley. I would also look at the quarterback, who actually has 2 interceptions at this point. Pegues has played a decent game, but when you're talking MVP at this point, I think Northeast has had the better of play.
And really, if you're thinking about Hakeem Coles with those 2 picks as a potential, this play is big in the balloting scenario because the pick then might set something up score-wise. And it is Coles who rolls out. Fires, tosses complete. It will not be a first, but it will be 4th and short.
Yeah. Who knew he could throw the ball?
Tried one other time, and it was picked off. Threw into the arms of Solomon Fields when he was trying to get it to Notwan Curtis.
Well, I mean, this was a case of a coach helping out his player. You flood his zone, you roll him out, and you make the pass easy. That wasn't a perfect pass by any means. It was probably down around the guy's knees, but he was able to get enough of it to put them in position for this play. This is the biggest play of the game right now.
It is indeed. Took the words right out of my mouth. You're looking at a 4th down and 1. If you're going to get points on the board and you're the Vikings, you have got to pick up a first here. 4th down, 1.
Single setback.
Lancers jump, and that will give a first down to the Vikings.
Wow.
So the big play becomes the infraction.
Now you got to really buckle up your chin strap and try to, cause 3 negative plays or 3 plays of very little gain. There was more than one guy that jumped on that, so that's very rare to be caused by cadence. So, if the offensive lineman flinched and they didn't catch it,
First down and 10 at the 16, first trip into the red zone. Pass is incomplete.
That pass should have been picked off.
The intended receiver, Vladimir Paul, in essence became a defensive back.
Well, he has the size advantage on that play, but you're taught as a defensive back to catch the ball at its highest point, attack the ball, and not wait for the ball to come down. And that's what the defensive back did on this play.
Take a look at the replay, and the Lancers are arguing that
it was offensive pass interference.
Yes.
And looking at it again, the receiver did push off at the end. But then so did Drew Pearson on a Thanksgiving Day, I remember.
Handoff is given to Moore, spinning out of tackles and running the wrong way, back to the 25-yard line.
Yeah, he got crushed. That play was blown up from the beginning by penetration.
Brings up a 3rd down, 19. Back to the 24-yard line. Looks like Merv Jones has got some fans in the stands. Is that what it is?
I have no idea what was going on. They were waving, so I just waved back.
Inside 3 minutes to play. Scoreless after 45 minutes of football, and it looked like the Vikings had a chance, but depending on what this 3rd and 19 brings,
oh my goodness,
a fumble.
It looks like a fumble is what it brought.
And the Lancers will have it at the 29.
Yes.
Keyshawn Graham coming up with a loose football.
Now we'll have to see if the starting quarterback comes back or whether or not we're going to see some first snaps for Central's backup here.
Coughlin popped on the pass interception he threw on the previous series for the Lancers.
And looks like he's back.
Yeah, there comes Coughlin. Vikings trying to get their fans into it, and Lancers doing the same. That hasn't been a problem, though.
No.
Fans have been into this one. First down and 10 at the 30-yard line. And now an official timeout as it is charged to the Lancers. 2 minutes, 40 seconds left in regulation. Still scoreless. Lancers with the football 70 yards from pay dirt. Great American Rivalry Series. Its 10th anniversary, sponsored in part by the Marines.
The Great American Rivalry Series. 48 classic matchups nationwide. The biggest moments under the brightest lights. Hardcore great American football the way it was meant to be. In the stands and on the fields. Be a part of the action when the greatest show in high school sports comes to a town near you. The Great American Rivalry Series, presented by the United States Marines from iHigh. Who's your rival?
2 minutes, 40 seconds left to play. First down 10, football at the 30. Timeout called for by the Lancers.
Got to make sure here.
Copeland back in at quarterback. Wants to go upstairs, steps up, crushed, back of the 20, and then gets rid of the football at the 15. That's a little Sandlot stuff that results in a loss of 6. Highland eventually wound up with a football as Copeland says, here, take it.
Innovative, creative, not effective.
Loss of 6 on the play. Brings up a second down and 16.
Coach Drayton wondering, what in the heck was that? But I think he ended up looking at the rush there and was unable to get the pass off, and then he tried to improvise.
Football back inside the 25-yard line.
And we're under 2 minutes.
Copeland.
Square your shoulders, kid.
Tucks it in, takes off, spin move across the 30 to the 33.
Now wind the clock. We'll snap this one inside of a minute 30. Unless somebody calls a timeout.
And somebody has. And that somebody is the Lancers. 1 minute, 29 seconds left to play. Thanksgiving Day. Windy day here in Philadelphia. Still scoreless. Deep into the fourth.
On the field or in the bleachers, get your game day gear from Hibbett Sports.
1:29 to play in regulation. That needs to be emphasized now because this one is looking more and more as if it is headed into a overtime scenario.
Another huge third down. You're backed up in the enemy territory, windy day, you're playing for the horse. You got to kind of let it hang out here.
Third down, we will call it 8. Copeland underneath center. And wants to go upstairs again. Fires the pass. Is complete.
First down.
At the 43-yard line. Falls out of bounds to stop the clock.
That was great execution all the way around. There was a little bit of penetration. The running back picked up the oncoming rusher. The quarterback squared his shoulders, made a firm throw. Wide receiver got his feet down in bounds, and Central's in business.
First down and 10. Clock isn't a friend of either team right now, though. Pitch back goes to Pegues. Cuts back and then spins across midfield.
All right, we're going to be inside a minute when this ball snaps.
One minute to play.
It should be second down.
Down
marker said fourth.
On the far sidelines. Of course, we got it right here. Second down and a pair.
Whoa.
Pegues may have the first,
yeah,
but
he's got it.
Time is running out in regulation.
Well, the clock will stop as they set the sticks, and somebody will take a timeout. Central probably.
And indeed it is Central asking for an opportunity to stop the clock with 43 seconds left. Wow, it's a dandy, the Great American Rivalry Series. The last game of its 10th anniversary. I don't know that you could ask for any better. Scoreless. Less than a minute away from wrapping things up in regulation.
Few who move toward the sounds of chaos. Forged in the crucible of training They are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are the few, the proud, the Marines.
First down and 10, football at the 46 of the Vikings. Lancers with 43 seconds left to play. Copeland almost picked off. Pegues was the intended target.
Yeah, and I think when you're playing in this situation as a quarterback, you just want to be sure. So on that, it was an instinctual throw. He just turned, and the play calls for him to go to the running back out of the backfield, but he just threw it, in my opinion, without even looking at it. Just went and did it and almost got it picked off.
Montrell Anderson breaking up the pass. It is second down and 10. Play took 4 seconds. Copeland fires over the middle, incomplete. That was not a bad Copeland pass.
Yeah, good design. Little high and hot though. You have to be a really good receiver to bring that down, and you got to remember you're throwing to a running back, so you want to throw a little bit more catchable ball. But you can't blame the kid. Adrenaline takes over, and you want to hum it.
35 to play.
Again, on all your passes and even your tosses and stuff on a handoff, you just want to be sure. You just want to be sure that you give them your players an opportunity to make a play. You got one-on-one on the outside, and that's where I would go.
Third down and 10. Copeland rolling out. Vikings in pursuit. Pass
is
complete. That is Solomon Fields who makes the grab. Not enough for the first, however, and it will bring up 4th and 3.
15 seconds left.
Clock running down inside 10. Lancers don't have a timeout to use. Snap of the football, last play in regulation. And it is incomplete. And we've wrapped up 48 minutes of football and still don't have points on the board. Well, you know what that means. Somebody's got to score. We talked about it earlier. So until they do, we stay. Spending a little longer in Philadelphia for Thanksgiving Day as we've headed to overtime in a scoreless ball game. 10th anniversary of the Great American Rivalry Series is brought to you in part by the United States Marines.
There's no need to worry about how you're going to pay for college anymore. The iHelp Loan Program enables students to fill their needs when financing their education. If you need to borrow money for college, as most Americans do, SLFC and the iHelp Loan Program may be your best option. The loan features the most competitive rate available and is offered through your local ICBA bank with the help of SLFC, the student loan company thousands have trusted to help them pay for college. Go to slfc.com and explore all your options now.
There are a few who move toward the sounds of chaos. Forged in the crucible of training, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are the few, the proud, the Marines. There are a few who move toward the sounds of chaos, ready to respond at a moment's notice. And when the time comes, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are forged in the crucible of training, They are the few, the proud, the Marines.
We have headed into overtime, scoreless ball game, and it is the Kansas tiebreaker. Now, this is going to tell you how far I go back. Last time I did a game that involved the Kansas tiebreaker, there was this kid from Escambia High School in Pensacola, Florida, who was running the football. He was a senior, and his name was Emmett Smith. Went and played a little football for the Gators and then played, some of the Cowboys.
Yeah, a little bit.
That's how long ago it's been since we did a Kansas tiebreaker, but the football is on the 10. You've got 4 downs to punch it in. You have an option at some point to try the field goal. And the coin toss won by the Lancers as the handoff is given to Moore, and Moore breaks inside the 10 down to the 9. But the Lancers won the coin toss. They opted to defer because they get to determine after the Vikings have the football what they need to do, either score a touchdown or get a field goal.
Right.
So there's play number 1, and it is second and goal from the 8.
But that also gave Northeast the option of going with the wind. And even inside the 10, that makes a difference.
Handoff is given to Manley, and Manley fights down to the 6.
Interesting call here. I wouldn't be surprised if Northeast tries something with some action towards the outside to attack the edges of the Lancer defense, because the runs up the middle have been gaining anywhere from 2 to 4 yards, and you've got 6 yards to score.
Here is play number 3 as we're in the first overtime. Who knows? There may be multiple overtimes in this one, but overtime number 1, and now you've got a timeout charged to the Vikings. So why don't we take timeout as well? In overtime, Vikings with a football. Scoreless ball game after 48 minutes of regulation on Thanksgiving Day. Great American Rivalry Series in its 10th anniversary.
The Great American Rivalry Series. 48 classic matchups nationwide. The biggest moments under the brightest lights. Hardcore great American football the way it was meant to be. In the stands and on the field. Be a part of the action when the greatest show in high school sports comes to a town near you. The Great American Rivalry Series, presented by the United States Marines from iHigh. Who's your rival?
Depending on who wins, really.
In overtime, it is 3rd down and goal. Kansas tiebreaker, the means by which to break a tie in after regulation, if it's all tied up. Football placed on the 10, you got 4 downs. This is down number 3.
Mom, I might be late for dinner. I just wanted to get that out there. Yeah, this is a big play. I mean, it's been a lot of big 3rd downs in this, but, this play could go a long way toward deciding it.
3rd down, goal from the 6. And off to Manley. Finds the seam off left tackle and gets down to the 2. Now it's decision time. Do you try for the 3 or do you try to punch it in? And the decision has already been made as Tyler Gormley, the kicker, makes his way onto the field.
I would not want to be Tyler Gormley right now.
It is interesting, though, that from the standpoint, if Gormley makes this, from the standpoint the Lancers won the coin toss, opted to defer, that meant that the Vikings got to decide which end they wanted to travel into.
That's what I was saying before. Yeah, they have the wind at their back, so we'll see.
Gormley trying the field goal of 20 yards. It is up. It is good. And the Vikings have grabbed the 3-0 advantage.
That was closer than you might think. Central had a little bit of penetration on that and could have gotten a blocked field goal. Interesting thing, when you're trying to block a punt or a field goal, you need to dive to a point and not necessarily dive to where the ball is.
So now it is the Lancers' turn, and they know what they've got to do. They've got to score 6.
And Coach Drayton is in there telling his guys, look, we can win this game right now. And it looks to me like if they're going in the same direction, the win thing doesn't matter.
You're right. And it's irrelevant at this point, and we're all on the opposite end of the field, so you've always got the wind at your back. Now you do have the option of obviously kicking the field goal and trying to tie it up and go to a second overtime. But if you want to win it at OT number 1, Lancers have got to put 6 on the board.
If I know my man Drayton, they're going for it right now.
Coughlin with a handoff to Pegues. I think we're going to get a steady diet of Pegues, who gets down to the 1.
That's a great run by Pegues, and you've got all kinds of options right now from the 1 yard line.
You've got 3 downs to try to punch it in from a yard out.
Yeah, not the least would be, if it's me, a guy my size would try the quarterback sneak right away.
3-0 advantage after the 20-yard Gormley field goal, but here comes the Lancers. Pegues into the end zone, touchdown, and in overtime it's a Central victory.
And there's your MVP right there.
Mr. Pegues, who is the scholar athlete with a 3.9 GPA, had a couple of carries at OT, one for 9 yards and the other for 1. And that 1-yarder scores the first touchdown of the ball game. It happens in OT, and it gives the win to Central.
And it breaks the streak. Northeast had won 9 straight. And so on the 10th anniversary,
the horse is going to a different stall.
There we go.
So congratulations to Central. Northeast, what a job they did as well. It went into OT. Nobody could score in the 48 minutes of regulation. And here at the end of overtime number 1, the victory belongs to Central.
And I got to congratulate Northeast on a game well played. I mean, what can you say when a game is 0-0 at the end of regulation? I mean, both teams really laid it on the line.
In overtime, the victory belongs to the Lancers of Central, snapping a 9-game losing streak to the Vikings. 6-3 the final. We got to believe that Pegues is your MVP. He's the guy that scored the winning TD. We're back to wrap up the 10th year of the Great American Rivalry Series after this timeout.
There's no need to worry about how you're going to pay for college anymore. The iHelp loan program enables students to fill their needs when financing their education. If you need to borrow money for college, as most Americans do, SLFC and the iHelp loan program may be your best option. The loan features the most competitive rate available and is offered through your local ICBA bank with the help of SLFC, the student loan company thousands have trusted to help them pay for college. Go to slfc.com and explore all your options now.
There are a few who move toward the sounds of chaos. Forged in the crucible of training, they are the first to move toward the sounds of tyranny, injustice, and despair. They are the few, the proud, the Marines.
What a ball game to wrap up the 10th anniversary of the Great American Rivalry Series. It was scoreless through regulation. It goes into overtime, and Mr. Pegues, your scholar athlete, is the gentleman who carried it all the yardage in overtime. A 9-yard gain on first and a seconded goal. He took it in from a yard out, and Pegues has also been named as the MVP of this one, and certainly deservedly so.
Well, in a game that features only one touchdown, if you're the guy that scored it, you need to get the MVP, because without you, it's a loss.
Well, he carries home a trophy for being a scholar athlete, and now he carries home a trophy for being an MVP. Scores the winning touchdown in overtime that gives the victory to Central. The Lancers snapping that 9-game losing streak to the Vikings. And if you look to the Viking side of the football stadium, and it's very dejected, but there you can see the crowd gathering around the Lancers, and there's some joy in Centraltown.
You know, Central came into this game on a 4-game winning streak, and I think that they carried that momentum into this contest. The two teams played earlier in the season. Northeast was able to win that game 17-12, and so I think Central knew that they could play with these guys, and they knew they were on a roll. And the longer they stayed in it, the more opportunities presented themselves, and then they took advantage of the final one and punched it in for the win.
Well, the Great American Rivalry Series, which began in 95-degree weather in Alcoa, Tennessee in August, wraps up in 34-degree chilly weather here in Philadelphia on Thanksgiving Day. And one away to wrap up the series, a game that goes into OT. And it's Pegues with a 1-yard touchdown run to snap a 9-game losing streak. Merv Jones, great working with you.
It was my pleasure.
We look forward to the next opportunity. Want to say thanks so much to Rick Ford. What a tremendous job Rick has done in making this series possible and allowing us the opportunity to be a part of it. Thank you very much, Rick. Mo Hawker's been here today as well for the Great American Rivalry Series. To our camera guys who have braved the cold, thank you very much for a job well done. Our executive producer, James Crenshaw, at the helm. Robert Williamson saying so long and happy Thanksgiving from Philadelphia.